Today, we're diving into a massive leap forward in artificial intelligence, something that goes way beyond just chatbots or data analysis. We are talking about AI that can actually do things. You give it a goal, and it runs with it from start to finish. Welcome to the world of agentic AI.
This quote from Zarantech really just nails it. The world of AI is moving at an absolutely breakneck pace. We're shifting from these passive systems, things that just report data on a dashboard, to proactive systems that can take independent action. This isn't just some small upgrade. It's like the entire operating system of how business gets done is changing right before our eyes.
And that, of course, leads to the big question. What actually comes after the chatbots and the generative tools that we've all gotten so used to? Well, the answer is a whole new class of autonomous, goal-driven systems, what we call AI agents.
So let's get right into it. We are truly at the dawn of agentic AI, and the fundamental shift here is moving from simply generating information to actually doing things, executing complex tasks out in the real world.
So what is it, really? Well, according to IBM, agentic AI is a system that can take a goal and just work towards it, with very little human handholding. It's all about autonomy. Think of an agent as this specialized digital worker that can reason, it can plan, and it can execute. What's really fascinating is how these agents actually work. It's this continuous cycle. First, they start with perception, basically gathering data from anywhere and everywhere. From there, they move into reasoning, where they process all that data and figure out the best thing to do. Then comes the action part, execution. They actually interact with other systems to get the job done. And most importantly, they close the loop with learning, where they look at the outcome to get smarter for next time. It's this constant cycle of improvement.
Okay, so a single agent is pretty powerful, but the real magic, the real game changer is when you get them working together in multi-agent systems. So how are developers actually building these things? Well, two major philosophies have really started to emerge, and they're built around two key frameworks, Crew AI and AutoGen.
This slide just illustrates the core difference perfectly. Crew AI is all about structure. It's like an assembly line. You build a crew of specialist agents that hand off tasks in this really predictable step-by-step fashion. AutoGen, on the other hand, which comes from Microsoft research, is pretty much the opposite. It's flexible, it's conversational, it's more like a brainstorming session where agents kind of debate and figure things out as they go along.
And this table really breaks it down for us. At the end of the day, it's about choosing the right tool for the right job. Crew AI's predictable approach is perfect for regulated industries or critical workflows where you just can't afford any surprises. AutoGen's more emergent, creative style is amazing for research and exploration where the path forward isn't clear. But that flexibility comes with a price. It is much harder to trace what it did and why.
Okay, that's enough theory. What does this actually look like in a real company? Let's make this concrete by seeing how agents are being put to work inside a massive system that many of you probably know, SAP.
So an agent can't physically type or click a mouse, right? Its power comes from its tools. And tools are basically just simple commands or functions it can call on. This example from an SAP tutorial shows a pretty typical toolkit. This agent has tools to get an invoice status, find an email address, send an email. It can even scrape text from a website. Each tool is a specific, limited capability.
Now, let's watch the magic happen. A user gives a super simple command. Email Andreas the status of invoice 43. The agent, all on its own, figures out the sequence of steps it needs to take. It calls the invoice tool, gets the status, then calls the email address tool. Finally, it composes a message and calls the send email tool. The amazing part is, it did all of this without anyone explicitly telling it the exact steps. It reasoned its way through the entire task.
This all sounds incredible, right? But there's a major hurdle. The amazing promise of agentic AI is currently smashing up against a very harsh production reality, and it's leading to what some are starting to call a reliability crisis.
40%. Let that number just sink in for a moment. It's a huge, kind of startling number. So, what does it represent?
It represents the predicted failure rate. Gartner is forecasting that nearly half, 40% of all enterprise agentic AI projects will be canceled by 2027. And why? Well, because of spiraling costs and, this is the crucial part, inadequate risk controls. This autonomy is incredibly powerful, but it's also really risky. So how do we solve this? How do we get all the benefits of autonomy without all the unacceptable risks? Well, the answer is a non-negotiable governance framework known as human in the loop. Now, what's really important to understand here is that human in the loop isn't an admission of failure. Not at all.
It's a critical design feature. It's about building in specific, structured points for a human to step in. This allows a person to review, to approve, or to stop an agent's decision, especially when the stakes are high. And there are really two main ways to do this. For maximum control, you use what's called synchronous approval. The agent literally pauses and waits for a human to give it the go-ahead before it acts. This is perfect for high-risk things like large financial transfers, but yeah, it adds a little bit of a delay. For maximum speed, you use asynchronous audit. The agent just acts freely, but every single decision is logged for a human to review later. This is great for lower-risk tasks where you can correct any mistakes after the fact.
And this chart illustrates the goal perfectly. See, the point of human in the loop isn't to have people review everything. That would completely defeat the purpose of automation. The goal is to hit a sustainable escalation rate, usually around 10 to 15%. If your agents are kicking over, say, 60% of their decisions back for human review, that's a sign that the system itself is miscalibrated and needs to be tweaked.
Which leaves us with the final, critical question. The technology for autonomous AI agents is not science fiction anymore. It is here, now, and it's being deployed in companies today. So the real challenge isn't about building smarter agents. It's about building smarter oversight. Autonomy is here. The real question is, are we ready to manage it?